everybody, welcome to week 6 of CIT 12. Pardon the noise in the background. We've got a little bit of construction going on, putting in new flooring, so it's been kind of busy and hectic around here. But there's some changes that are or just a few changes this week. Things are a little bit different, and so I definitely wanted to explain those to you in sort of a video as opposed to just typing it out in text. All right, so the first thing is, if you're having trouble logging into your student email, Blackboard, or the campus wireless, we've changed, our entire campus has changed its default password. Now, if you already selected a custom password, like you made up your own, then you don't have to worry about it. That password should stay the same. But for everybody else, if you were just using the default password, which was usually your username is your student ID and your password is your student ID, we've changed that. That was a little bit insecure, especially since your ID was part of your email address. Then anybody who had ever received an email from your student account would be able to log into Blackboard as you, or would be able to log into the wireless as you. So instead, what we've done is we've set up all three of those systems to be the same. So student email, Blackboard, and the campus wireless. If you're trying to access the wireless network on campus, your username will be your student ID. All right, so that is the same for some of those. Your student ID, that's your username. Your password will be your initials, so it's your capital first initial, so whatever your first name is, the first initial capitalized, your last name, lowercase initial, and then your 6-digit year of birth, or date of birth. So if you were born on, let's say, March 7th of 1980, then your name was John Smith, your password would be capital J, lowercase s for John Smith, and then 030780, right? March 7th of 1980. 6-digit year of birth along with your first two initials. That's the password by default. If you created your own, don't worry about it. Your old password should still work, all right? So that's the change to passwords. If you need more information, just go to fresnocitycollege.edu. There's a huge banner right in the front that tells you about the change. Click on that and it'll give you all the details. Now, as far as the things you have to do this week, it's going to feel like a somewhat standard week. We've got Chapter 4, so definitely read Chapter 4. There's a video lecture in the Week 6 folder, so check that out. And then there's a quiz on Chapter 4. So pretty much standard up to that point. What gets a little bit different is the discussion board, all right? So the discussion post for this week won't actually be using the discussion system in Blackboard. Instead, we're going to be sort of posting your thoughts to a shared document in Google Docs. So we're talking about applications this week, application software. And so there's lots of different application software out there. We're obviously learning Microsoft Office, but there are alternatives to Office, and one of those is Google Docs. And so I just want to get you a quick exposure to Google Docs. In the Week 6 folder, there's instructions on what to do and an entire video showing you a little bit about Google Docs, as well as how to actually make your discussion post. We have a shared it's not a PowerPoint presentation because PowerPoint would be the Microsoft product, but it's the Google Docs equivalent of PowerPoint. Slides, all you have to do is go into that shared document. There's a huge red link. You don't even have to sign into Google Docs. You don't even have to have a Google account. You just click on that link. It will take you into the shared document, and you can start editing that document because I've set up the document so that anybody with the link can edit it. And so then you can create your own slide, put your name in, and then just give your thoughts. After having seen the video about Google Docs, after having played with Google Docs a little bit, how do you think you could use Google Docs? Do you think this is something that could replace Microsoft Office for you? One of the advantages to Google Docs is that it's completely free. Now, you guys have access to Office for free because you're Fresno City College students, and we'll talk more about that next week with our lab practical, but most people don't get Microsoft Office for free. And so using Google Docs is a great way of saving some money. It also provides some great ways of collaborating that you can't do with Microsoft Office. So anyway, check it out. Write your thoughts in a slide. You can add a picture of yourself if you want. You can do whatever you want. It's your slide to play with. Just don't mess around with other people's slides. You could technically do that, but it's considered poor form. So yeah, don't say that I smell and I like, I don't know, whatever. Don't say negative things about other people. But that's the discussion. Instead of using a normal discussion thing, you're going to go into that shared Google document and just write your thoughts right there in your own slide. And that means also you don't have to reply to anyone this week because there's nothing to reply to, right? It's a slightly different system. Just put your thoughts in a slide and you're good for the week. The last thing we need to worry about is your MyIT lab for this week. Now, your lab this week is actually super short. I think it's under 10 questions. So it's a lot shorter. It should take you far less time. It's just sort of a couple advanced features. MyIT lab doesn't quite have that second portion sort of built out yet, but there's a couple things I wanted you to see. And so we've got just this little short lab in MyIT lab, which is good. It'll give you more time to figure out sort of how to post your discussion this week, since that's going to take a little bit more time. Actually, the discussion post doesn't take more time. It's just figuring out how to actually, where to actually put the words will take you maybe a little bit more time. Maybe you'll find it super easy. I don't know. But regardless, lab this week is super short. Now that's good also because next week is our lab practical. All right, so it's a larger project. It's something you'll actually download, edit, change, upload. It definitely takes more time. And because of that, I've stripped everything out of next week. So next week, you're just going to have to deal with the lab practical. There'll be more information on that next week. But for right now, enjoy the short lab and just know that next week, your lab practical is coming. So try to stay as prepared as possible with all the things you've learned in your Word labs. Now, one small note, on Sunday night, a number of people emailed me and said, hey, I tried to log in, but it wasn't allowing me to log into MyIT lab. I looked into it. It looks like there was an issue. It was a short one, probably just a couple hours, and people who kept trying to log in were able to log in sometime around 11 o'clock that night. But regardless, I know that a lot of people wait to the last minute. You wait until that Sunday night sort of time slot to get your work done. And so if MyIT lab is down, even for just a couple hours during that sort of important time, then that's not exactly fair. So as a result, I've taken the Word 2 lab and I just extended it a whole nother week. So it's just sort of floating there. It's outside of the normal structure of the class. Word Lab 2 should have disappeared already, but you'll notice if you go into MyIT Lab, it hasn't disappeared. If you weren't affected by the outage, but you just didn't do the lab, take advantage, jump in, do it anyway, and you'll get credit for it. No penalty or anything. I just wanted to make sure that was available to you because I know a lot of people sort of went in on Sunday prime time and you weren't able to actually access your lab. And that was unintentional, MyIT Lab's fault. So as a result, when you go in, you're going to see 3 labs. You're going to see Word Lab 2, Word Lab 3, and this week's Lab 4. So if you need to finish up that last question for Word Lab 2, it's available to you. Go in, you'll be able to finish it out, and then submit just like normal. All right? So with that, you should have everything you need to know for this week. If you have any questions, just email me, brian.baker@fresnocitycollege.edu, and I will see you online. Just pausing while the airplane flies by.